highlight some of the things we've talked about in our Fireside Courses about going through divorce and recovery. We're going to present 2 mock therapy sessions, one with Chris and one with Kim. And we're going to pick it up as if we've been in the middle of a session now, and they're going to start talking about one of the things they've experienced that happened over the last couple of days. And just listen to what they're talking about, because I'm sure some of the things that they're describing are going to connect with you. But also understand this process, that it doesn't have a nice, neat script to it. That you're going to hear some things that are going to go off in this tangent, and that's okay. What I hope you get from these sessions is to realize that when you do come to see counselors, that's what this journey is like. And it's going to be a little scary. It's going to be a little bit unsettling coming in, but it's going to be worth it once you get going with that relationship with your counselor. So I hope these 2 sessions are going to be helpful for you as we put together this process of divorce and recovery. So Chris, I know we've talked a lot about this divorce that you've been going through and how we've navigated through some of the things that have been pretty impactful for you. And last week we were talking a little bit more about how you've been dealing with the things with your ex-wife and how that's been going for you. What anything going on this past week that's kind of hitting you in a way that's been really rough?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's been the same. You know, she just doesn't want to work with me and the kids.
Sure.
You know, she is just angry all the time, and no matter what I do, no matter what I say to her to try and co-parent with her, it's nothing. I just talk to a brick wall.
Yeah. So you've put out some things that you're trying to work with her, with the kids. I know you share custody too, so it's hard to not know what's going on there. What's going on there isn't the way you kind of would have liked to have with the kids.
Well, absolutely. You know, we raised the kids for 10 years before she left. And we've always done things the exact same way for 10 years. And now everybody's life has changed because of her.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on over there now because it's almost like I don't know her.
Yeah. And that's frustrating when you talk with her and you don't know what's going on and she's not giving you anything or not even working with you. That frustration starts to come out even more for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where do you go with that? When you have that interaction with her and you're done, or you don't have that interaction with her, and now you're just stuck with what you're dealing with. Help me understand what that's like for you when you're going through that.
Honestly, it gets to a dark place and I just end up taking a lot of drinks.
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense. Right?
My drinking has picked up a lot.
Okay. Yeah. That's hard not to get, especially in that moment when you're getting so frustrated. When that frustration hits you, is it an immediate reaction to go get something to drink? Or does it take time later? Does it stay within you for a while? Then later during that day, you just, because it's been so part of you, that's kind of when you start to go get another drink or something like that?
It's not immediate.
Okay.
It's not immediate. You know, since I do have the kids, you know, I gotta make sure that I am coherent, you know, for them.
Right.
But you know, when they go to bed, I'm counting down the minutes until I can open up that bottle.
Yeah, right. And that at least gives you something that you feel you can control. Right, this is something I can handle, because you're right. I've got to deal with the kids. They can't see me go off and have something to drink now. We got to get ready for school. We got to do all these things. So much is out of your control, right? You can't do anything about how she's going to react. And that frustration leads to that moment of getting either something to drink or just spending that hours going through all that mess that you got to hold on to. Let's see if we can look at this maybe a little bit differently. What about you? And I know we've talked a lot about the different things that you do too, would help you get to a better place. Not saying it's going to solve her issue, right, or dealing with that, but what about you? What about you that you have inside of you that could get you to a place that the frustration doesn't lead you to the drinking?
No, honestly, I don't. I don't know.
Sure.
I really don't. I've done what you said about like trying to figure out like different hobbies to do, and like honestly, no matter what you have suggested, I can't get that frustration out.
Sure.
I can't get out of that funk because my kids, especially like our youngest one, when he's asking, well, do you remember when me, you, and mommy used to do this, and me, you, mommy used to do that? And it just brings everything back, and it breaks my heart.
Oh, yeah. You can hear it in your voice now, how impactful. But also taking it in, and because you have that connection with your kids, speaks to the person that you are, right? Because sometimes I think when you go through this, you start questioning that about yourself. The whole process of how we got to be here. But the fact that that impacts you, that you hear your child say that, you can hear it in your voice now, that speaks to the goodness of you. That's not lost. That's still there. So as hard as that is, just remind yourself that what you are doing is the right thing.
So what is really the right thing? Because that's what the question is, and that's what I ask myself. Because my kids mean everything to me, and they used to mean everything to her. We were a family for so long. Everybody knew us as a family, and now it's gone. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. And I don't know how to fix that for my boys. I know it'll never be fixed for me. But how can I fix it for them?
Well, there's a lot you put on right there, right? Will it never be fixed for you? I don't know. We're still on this journey. It's not going to, you hit it right on the head. It was a perfect way to put it. It's not the way it was. And you're in that spot right now where you're wondering, what's it even going to look like moving down the road? Let alone, how do I get through this? You're also dealing with your boys too, and working, and trying to make sure that's a lot to handle. Right? That's a lot to deal with. You are doing the right thing. That's the right thing, by continuing to do what you're doing in the best way you can. There is no script to this, right? But that transition from where you've been to where you're going, you don't know what that looks like yet. You have to trust where you're going, at least for right now. You're on the right path. It's just hard to see it when you get hit from something over here.
Well, it's not just getting hit from over here. It's getting hit from all different angles.
Sure.
I just took my vehicle to the shop, and it's going to cost me $2,700 to fix this truck when I am barely making ends meet right now, barely bringing food to the table for my kids. Sure. And then all of a sudden, there's $1,000 here, a $2,700 bill there. I can't take off of work to handle any of this stuff. Right. So I just feel trapped. I'm trapped right now in a spot that I am just unhappy all the time.
Yeah. And this is going to sound strange, but it makes sense, because if you were going through all this and weren't feeling what you were feeling, there would be some concern. And it goes back to how much you care about your boys and the relationship that was there and what you kind of hoped would have been as you moved forward. And I think every time you deal with your ex-wife and get that reaction from her that you just remind you again, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I thought we would be at this point. And that's just another dagger that comes in and hits you hard to where you're at.
Well, when she brought in, and then we brought this up the other day with her boyfriend being there and just interjecting him into my kid's life, and they don't know him for anything. No. They go over there to spend the night, and then here's this guy, and they're living in my house anyway. Yeah. So here is a man sleeping in mom and dad's bed with mom, and they are asking me questions, and I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. So when you get questions like that, what is your usually response from the kids?
The older ones, honestly, kind of have, because it's been a few years now that we've been separated. They're okay. It's just my youngest. Sure. My youngest still doesn't understand, and he has so many questions. And I just tell him, I say, look, Mom wants to be happy. Okay. And this person makes her happy. Okay. And Dad can't right now. Okay. And we just leave it at that. But again, it just keeps coming up.
Sure. And it's hard to recognize that you still have to work through this on your own when you see your children struggling for this too, right? You have, when you're flying an airplane, they tell you when the plane's in distress, the oxygen mask will drop down. Put yours on first before you help your children. There's some truth to that. As much as we want to get your children's oxygen mask on, you can't do it if you can't breathe, because you're struggling to get them in a better place while you're struggling to breathe too. So it's okay for you to take some time once in a while each day to get your oxygen mask on in a way that helps you breathe better, which will help you deal with your kids. That's a great way to tell your youngest. That's perfect. That's a good thing. That's all. You can just be as honest about it as at all. You can't get them to understand. And I think that's a good answer just for them to say, okay, I don't have to understand it right now, but at least I got something from you, because they trust what they're hearing from you. I want to ask you something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I remember we've talked before about you have an interest in poker.
Yeah.
What about poker what about that is it that you like to do?
It just got me out of the zone, out of the house.
Okay, yeah.
Got me out of the house. She's a single mom, or not a single mom, but
Right.
stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, sure.
And it's the kids all the time,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I work from home, and
Okay.
it just lets me relieve some stress.
Sure.
But it did also put stressors on the relationship.
Yeah, okay.
Because she didn't have any money, and I'm spending what little bit of extra money we have.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll come home with money. Oftentimes
Right.
I didn't.
Yeah.
And, that just caused a lot more
Sure.
problems in the relationship.
But what about the actual playing of poker that you like to do? I mean, there's the money part, certainly, but there's got to be, is there something about when you're playing poker, because I would imagine there's some, you have to make some decisions about whether I take a card, do I hold it, do I play, do I bid? What about that whole process of playing poker that you like?
I think the reason why I love poker is because I'm in control of my own destiny. I can choose to stop when I want to stop. I can choose to keep going. That's something that I can't do with my life. I can't choose to stop. And that's what poker allows me to do. And also, for me, I've been doing it for so long, I feel I'm pretty good at it.
Sure.
I feel like I sometimes have the upper hand, and, it makes me feel good. So I don't mind putting the money up there for it.
Sure. Have you been playing any poker recently?
I've just been drinking.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's my poker.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's my poker. I can choose when to stop. I can, feel on top or not. But
There's not a pot you're going to pull in at the end of having a few drinks, though, is there?
No.
Yeah, you're amping up. Yeah, and I'm just wondering too. Just that part of you said it brings you some kind of joy when you're playing. I'm just wondering, what stops you from at least doing some of that again, just for the sake of bringing back something of your own that was kind of you. You can control that, like you said. It was a nice way to put it, right? But I suspect with poker, I'm not familiar enough with it to know that you have to be pretty good at it. You have to manage things, right? You just don't go blindly into it.
No.
Do you see any parallels with how you play poker and where your situation is a little bit now? There's something about the way you play poker that you can apply to what you're doing now.
Definitely, managing a hand, managing how, it plays out.
Sure.
I really feel like, in all honesty, I feel like I'm playing against my ex-wife. Because in poker, they tell you, don't play the person, play the hand. But oftentimes you're playing against the person.
Yeah.
You're making the eye contact.
Right.
You're trying to pick
Right.
up on signals, and you're just trying to see how it works. And a lot of times, unfortunately, I get it wrong. If that makes sense. I'm just always wrong. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I love poker, but I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore because I don't have time.
Sure.
I have my boys 24/7. I work from home. They are at school.
Yeah, it's a lot.
From home.
It's a lot.
It's a
Certainly.
lot.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
lot.
Have you ever played poker with your boys?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Just wondering how that would be to get connected with them in a way that has nothing to do with anything else. Showing them how to play and but they also see you in a different way, right? They're learning something from dad and they tell you about, I remember when we were younger, Dad, we would play poker and just kind of have fun with it. Not that you want them to gamble, but just the old intricacies, I can't even say that word, the details of poker, right? Thinking about it, because it is a skilled sport. I like what you said about that. That's pretty impressive, You said it earlier. I really like what you said. I'm playing against my ex-wife. They tell you to play the hand, but there is something about when you play poker, I guess. You have to know who you're playing at. You have to watch the signs. Is there anything about that you pick up from your ex-wife, that you know the signs? Maybe I need to fold. Maybe I need to go in. Maybe I bet. Maybe I raise.
And that is definitely a factor, because I was blindsided when she left. I mean, I had no clue she was leaving. So this person that I'm now playing against, I don't know who this is. I don't know, she was, I know that before we got married, she used to do recreational activities, and now she's back doing it. So when I talk to this person, I don't know who it is. Am I talking to my ex-wife? Am I talking to a substance? What am I talking to?
Yeah.
And that's what is the most difficult part of this whole thing, because I cannot play against multiple people like that.
Yeah,
and she
point.
is
Right.
multiple people at this time.
Yeah. So staying with that a little bit, knowing that you can't, just catching yourself and realizing what you're going in, the expectations going in there, knowing how she's going to react, thinking maybe if this makes sense to you, keeping those expectations a little bit lower. So knowing that I'm not going to get the answer that I'm hoping for, or think about it, and I might not even be able to get the answer that makes any sense. So already going in with the hand saying, I'm playing against somebody who could be off the grid about how they're going to play this hand. So I maybe keep mine a little bit closer and not expect them to be able to play with me the same way that I'm doing. Might keep that frustration just a little bit at a lower level.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I do. I'm a lot more secretive with the boys as to my extracurricular activity. Making sure that, because I don't want them running back to her, because
Right.
everything that she hears, she wants to destroy for me. Any bit of joy that I have, whether it's online or with a potential romantic interest, anytime she gets a word of it, she's ready to destroy it for me, because that's just how it is.
Yeah. Well, and I know we've talked about a few things today that were hitting you this week, and as we kind of come near the end of our session today, I would just want to touch on some of the things you've done really well too. Not saying that not trying to minimize what you've gone through, but as we wrap this up, just keep in mind that you have done a great job. You have really worked hard, not just for your own children, but for yourself. It's important to make sure you take that time wherever you can find it to give yourself a chance just to reset and realize, I'm going to make it, right? You're not getting it from your ex-wife. You're not getting it from the outside influences. So maybe we need to stop looking at it that way and just have that own voice of yours that says, you know what? I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make it through. I've made it this far. Just like the poker hand. I got another hand coming to me, and I can play this one as well as I can. You're doing really well. You really are. I'm impressed at how well you're doing. So I'll see you next week, and we'll pick up some of the things that have gone on. But just try to work through that frustration a little bit, and let's see if we can come up with a balance that works for you, whatever way. Okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good to see you.
Good to see you
as
too.
always.